elastoplast over what happened, clearly there's a depth of not getting on together, I think, with Slot more than anybody, because he's the manager and the guy who made the selection decisions. So I think that's a pretty deep wound for Salah, who felt he'd given everything to the club over 6-7 years, whatever. So, yeah, I think he will go. And whether he'll go to Saudi, I think they were monitoring things before the window opened in case he wanted to leave Liverpool at that stage. But I suspect he'll go there, for a pot full of money at the end of this season. He's probably about the right age to think about going to Saudi Arabia. It'll be a shame because, again, we'll have lost another great example of a good Premier League footballer. Great footballer he is. But hopefully when he comes back, if he stays at Liverpool for the rest of the season, he'll give us some good performances. I'm sure that's what the club want.
Yeah. I mean, right before his the press conference that brought up all these problems for him, I think he was pretty level-headed. I think he was kept quiet. It was just since the press conference. I mean, we know they've had a bad run of losing. They were on a losing streak, weren't they? And that might have been frustrating for him and other players as well. But up until that moment, he was a decent player. It was still a decent player. It's just you say one wrong thing and the whole the whole house almost comes crumbling down on you. Now I was going to talk about Crystal Palace in the second segment. You'd be relieved. Well, I was just thinking about the goal, the disallowed goal last night. Did you watch it, the FA Cup at Newcastle?
Yeah, I saw some of that game. Yeah, at Manchester City, you mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, they took 6 minutes. They took 6 minutes VAR to decide if it was offside, and at the end of 6 minutes, they deemed that Haaland was very narrowly offside, didn't they? Now, I understood this semi-automatic system as part of VAR in terms of offsides was black and white. You're either offside or you're not, and that is how it's been portrayed to us, and how generally it is the case. If it's an offside VAR are looking at, then there's a quick decision. They don't normally say to the ref, go and look yourself, make your own mind up, which is very unusual. But I don't understand it. And of course, it aroused Guardiola's anger with VAR. In what I felt was he went a bit too far. I think going back, I think it probably annoyed a lot of Palace fans that once again, he referred back to the FA Cup final about Dean Henderson. And I mean, there was a good argument that he should have been sent off. There was. And you could say that Palace got away with one. I mean, at the time, the reason given by Yared Gillett, who was the VAR ref, was that the attacker was running away from the goal. Now, I think that's a bit hard to see, frankly, when you watch the clip. But you can sort of sense why he might have said that. And you think, did he just not want to send off a goalkeeper in the FA Cup final? Because, it's a shame if that happens, but that shouldn't come into the reckoning. But equally, they eventually in the next half, they did give Man City a penalty, which was again dubious because Mitchell, our defender, definitely got the ball. So, and sometimes if you then clout the defender, you crash into him, that could still be a foul. But you wonder whether that they realise actually they made a bit of a a blooper by not sending Henderson off. So they kind of tried to make it up to City. Anyway, be that as it may, that's all been long discussed. But I think what upset, I have to say, me at the time, and I've always liked and rated highly Guardiola. I think, great to have him and Klopp as he was, two of the best managers in the world in the Premier League. But at the end of that game, obviously Palace, the fans, the team were ecstatic, the first trophy, etc. And actually earlier in the season, Dean Henderson, the goalkeeper, his dad died. And so at the final whistle, he was elated, as we all were, sort of looking up, if you like, to his dad. I did it for you, Dad. So his spirits were soaring. And then as Guardiola came on the pitch, presumably to shake hands with his own players and Palace players, he seemed to make a beeline for Henderson and was mouthing off at him. You could see that. And at one point, Glasner, Palace's manager, came and tried to sort of protect Henderson away from Guardiola. And much as I think he's a good football manager, that disappointed me, that did, because okay, he may or may not have known Henderson's dad had died, but he would have known Palace. We're one of those lower feeder clubs. The elation of the fans, I believe a good loser would have taken everything that happened in good part. There's times Manchester City have benefited from rubbish decisions from refs and VAR. They've benefited, of course they have. Every team, it balances itself out over time, it does. So that actually doesn't. I don't often change my view of someone's behaviour, but that changed my view of Guardiola. Now it doesn't make he won't give a damn that I or others got across with him. But to me, he's brilliant as a football manager. But my view of him as a human being went down quite a bit. And the fact that last night he was still bringing up not just the FA Cup final, but one or two other decisions shows a man who's never really learned how to lose. And I don't think that's the sign of a great human being. I don't often criticise people on our podcast, but yeah, I expressed my disappointment, especially with the way he treated Dean Henderson in his moment of triumph.
Yeah, I was going to say something, but we're just going to transition to the next segment of our podcast now. So
Yep.
as we so join us on the next segment of our podcast where we discuss about Crystal Palace and Chelsea. So I've been Emmy Hikins, and he calls me Cos.
And I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
See you on the flip side.
See you in a minute.